Have you ever heard a story so unbelievable that it felt like it was pulled straight from a movie? Today, we're diving into some of the most inspiring stories of survival moments when people face death and against all odds live to tell the stories. Buckle up, because these stories will not only captivate you, but remind you of the strength of the human spirit and the will to survive. Number 10. Bahia Bacary. On June 30th, 2009, an Airbus A310 belonging to Yemenia Airways was operating flight number 626 from Sana'a, Yemen to the Comoros. There were 153 people on board, 142 passengers, and 11 crew members. Just before landing, during the approach to the airport in Moroni, the capital of the Comoros, the plane crashed into the Indian Ocean, just a few kilometers from the coast.
A passenger jet from Yemen crashed this morning in the Indian Ocean, and amazingly, there's at least one survivor. CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is in London with the latest. Elizabeth, good morning.
Good morning. As officials from the airline Yemenia that operated the plane say that it was trying to land in very windy weather when it went down.
Among the 153 people on board was 14-year-old Bahia Bacary, a French citizen. She was traveling with her mother to visit family in the Comoros. At the moment of the crash, Bahia was sitting in the plane without her seatbelt fastened. Upon impact, the plane broke apart, and the girl was thrown from the wreckage into the ocean. Despite not knowing how to swim, she instinctively grabbed a piece of the plane's debris that was floating on the water's surface. Bahia drifted in the ocean for 9 hours, battling strong waves and the cold. She was wearing only light clothing and sustained multiple injuries, including a broken collarbone and burns. Despite extreme exhaustion, she did not lose hope. Eventually, she was spotted by local fishermen who were patrolling the waters in search of survivors. Bahia Bacary was the only person to survive the crash. Number 9. Stephen Callahan. In 1982, while attempting a solo voyage across the Atlantic Ocean from the Canary Islands to the Caribbean, Stephen Callahan's small sailboat, Napoleon Solo, was damaged possibly by a whale or another large marine animal. The boat began to take on water, forcing him to abandon ship and seek refuge in a life raft. Callahan spent 76 days adrift on the Atlantic Ocean, covering approximately 1,800 miles. During this time, he endured harsh conditions such as exposure to the sun, saltwater sores, and persistent hunger and thirst. His survival was due to his resourcefulness. He managed to catch fish with improvised gear, collect rainwater, and create makeshift tools to repair the raft and protect himself from sharks.
I would eat as much fresh as I could as soon as I could, in part because it takes fluid to digest proteins in food, and the drier it gets, the more cooked it is, the more moisture that would take. And I had only about maybe a pint and a quarter or so of water a day.
Finally, after 76 days, he was spotted by fishermen near the island of Marigalani, near Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. By the time of his rescue, Callahan had lost a significant amount of weight and was in a weakened state, but was alive. Stephen Callahan documented his harrowing experience in the book Adrift, 76 Days Lost at Sea. Number 8. Alcides Moreno. On December 7, 2007, Alcides Moreno, a window washer in New York City, fell 47 stories from a skyscraper on Manhattan's Upper East Side. He and his brother Edgar were working on a suspended scaffold that detached from the building. Tragically, Edgar died instantly, but Alcides somehow survived the fall, landing in a narrow alley. By the time he reached the ground, it's estimated he would have been traveling at more than 120 miles per hour. Edgar Moreno had landed on a wooden fence. When rescuers arrived, they found Alcides still alive, though gravely injured. He was immediately rushed to the hospital, where doctors performed numerous surgeries over the following weeks to address his extensive injuries, including damage to his spine, chest, and brain. Moreno was conscious and speaking a few weeks after the accident. What made his survival so remarkable was not just the height from which he fell, but also his recovery.
This is stunning. You read the story, this guy had Both legs broken, right arm, right wrist broken in several places. Severe injuries to the chest, abdomen and spinal column injured. Brain was bleeding. Everything was bleeding, according to the people in the ER.
You know, if you ask every doctor at Weill Cornell Medical Center, they'll tell you that this is a real medical miracle. You know, he started talking Christmas Day, which was amazing. And, you know, if you look at the statistics, he fell 500 feet, 47 stories. If you look at the statistics, anybody that falls from 3 stories has a 50-50 chance of surviving. Anything above 10 stories, the survival rate is almost 0.
Experts have attributed his survival to a combination of factors, including the positioning of his body during the fall and the immediate medical response. By January 2008, Alcides was walking again, an outcome doctors had not expected so soon after such a traumatic event. Number 7. Amanda Eller. On May 8, 2019, Amanda Eller, a yoga instructor, went missing in the Makawao Forest Reserve on Maui while on a solo jog without a cell phone. She soon found herself disoriented after going off the trail in the more than 2,000-acre reserve, which is surrounded by more dense forest. On day 4 of being lost in the forest, she said she fell 20 feet and broke the tibia in her left leg. Soon after, she lost her sneakers in a flash flood. She looked for berries and fruit to eat, like guava, and clear water to drink. She survived by drinking stream water and foraging for food.
On the physical level, I had experienced dehydration. I had lost over 20 pounds in 17 days. I had broken my left tibia from a fall 20 feet onto a straight left leg. That happened on day 4. They thought they might have to amputate my feet after I came out. And then I was scathed like head to toe. There was not an inch of me that was not scratched.
After an extensive search involving hundreds of volunteers and donations, she was finally found by rescuers on May 24, 2019 by veteran helicopter pilot Pete Vors, who had aboard 3 ground crew volunteer searchers, Chris Berquist, Javier Canteleps, and Troy Helmer. She suffered from dehydration and injuries, but was found alive. Number 6. Harrison O'Keene, a Nigerian cook who survived an incredible maritime disaster in May 2013. He was aboard the tugboat Jaskin 4, which capsized due to rough seas off the coast of Nigeria while stabilizing an oil tanker at the Chevron oil platform. Out of the 12 crew members, O'Keene was the only survivor. When the boat sank, it ended up about nearly 100 feet below the surface. O'Keene was trapped in an air pocket in the bathroom of the ship. Despite being submerged at such a depth, he managed to survive for 60 hours, over 2 days, by breathing the oxygen in this small air bubble. He had no food and only limited water.
All right, you found one, yeah? He's alive, he's alive. Okay, keep him there, All right, just, all right, just hold him there, okay? Just keep him there.
His incredible endurance was marked by drinking small amounts of water and staying calm in the dark, cold, and isolated environment. Divers, who were initially on a recovery mission to retrieve bodies, were shocked to find him alive. A diver's camera footage captured the moment they discovered O'Keene's hand reaching out. His rescue was both unexpected and miraculous, given the harsh underwater conditions. Number 5. Trapped Chilean miners. On August 5, 2010, a cave-in occurred in the gold and copper mine located in northern Chile's Atacama Desert. The miners were trapped about 2,300 feet underground, with no immediate way to escape. There was no contact with the miners for 17 days, and it was unclear if they were still alive. The breakthrough came when a drill probe reached their location, and the miners attached a note to the drill bit that read, "We are well in the shelter, the 33 of us." This sparked an international rescue effort involving engineers, mining experts, and even NASA, which helped design the rescue capsule. The trapped miners survived with minimal supplies and received food, water, and medicine through a small hole while a rescue plan was devised. The miners spent a total of 69 days underground. A special drill was used to create a large enough tunnel for a capsule, named Phoenix, to bring each miner up to the surface one by one. The rescue operation, which started on October 12th and lasted for nearly 24 hours, was broadcast live, with millions of people worldwide watching the dramatic rescue. All 33 miners were successfully brought to the surface on October 13th, 2010. Number 4. Erika Nordby. On the night of February 22nd to 23rd, 2001, 13-month-old Erika and her mother, 26-year-old Layla Nordby, were staying at a friend's house in Edmonton. Earlier in the evening, Layla and her friend had gone out, leaving a relative to babysit Erika. When they returned, the babysitter left through the back door, which had a broken latch. Erika's mother, without thinking much, went straight to bed. When she woke up at 3 a.m., as usually Erika would wake up for a bottle at around 2 a.m., she became worried and after checking on Erika found that she was missing from the bed. Layla followed small footprints leading away from the back door and found Erika lying in a snowbank. It turned out that in the early hours of the morning, Erika, wearing only a diaper, wandered outside on her own, and the temperature outside was freezing at minus 11 degrees Fahrenheit. Layla rushed her daughter back inside, called an ambulance, and tried CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but without success. Paramedics couldn't intubate Erika due to her condition, and she was rushed to Stollery Children's Health Center. Meanwhile, Layla was detained by police for 5 hours on suspicion of child neglect before being allowed to go to the hospital. At the hospital, Erika was considered clinically dead, having been without a pulse for about 2 hours. She had no vital signs, and her core body temperature had dropped to around 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Remarkably, after being placed under a warming blanket, Erika's heart began beating again. Doctors speculated that the extreme cold had induced a hibernation-like state, which may have protected her body from severe damage. Though there were concerns she might lose parts of her hands or feet to frostbite, amputation was later deemed unnecessary. However, she did require skin grafts on one of her feet and underwent physiotherapy to regain the ability to walk. After 6 weeks in the hospital, Erika was discharged. Her story gained global attention, with many calling her a miracle baby. Apart from some scarring and minor deformation of her left foot, she suffered no permanent injuries. Number 3. Reshma Begum. Reshma Begum's survival story is one of remarkable resilience and hope in the face of the 2013 Rana Plaza disaster in Bangladesh. The collapse of Rana Plaza, an 8-story building that housed several garment factories, is considered one of the deadliest industrial accidents in modern history. On April 24, 2013, the building crumbled, killing over 1,100 people and injuring many more. Reshma Begum, a seamstress working on the second floor, became trapped under the debris when the building collapsed. For 17 days, she was buried alive beneath the rubble, with little access to food or water. Despite the odds, she managed to survive by rationing rainwater she found and remaining calm during her ordeal.
There was a man beside me. He was telling me, "Sister, save me." I said, "How can I save you? I'm also dying." He was asking me for water. In the darkness, I was searching. I did not get anything. Then that man died. Later, wrenching a metal stick from her sewing machine, the 19-year-old dug through the debris to find biscuits and water.
Her rescue on May 10th, 2013, after such an extended period of entrapment, was nothing short of miraculous and brought a glimmer of hope amidst the devastation. Number 2. Angela Hernandez. In July 2018, the 23-year-old Angela Hernandez from California was driving along the scenic Highway 1 near Big Sur when she swerved to avoid hitting a small animal on the road. This caused her car to plunge over 200 feet off a cliff into the Pacific Ocean. Miraculously, Angela survived the crash, despite sustaining serious injuries, including broken ribs, a fractured collarbone, and a collapsed lung. Her Jeep was severely damaged, and she was trapped on an isolated beach, out of sight from the road. Over the next 7 days, she struggled to stay alive. She had no access to food and limited access to fresh water, so she drank rainwater that she collected using a radiator hose from a wrecked car. Despite her injuries and the harsh conditions, Angela remained determined to survive. She spent the week resting and occasionally searching for help, but the remote location made it difficult for anyone to spot her. Finally, on the 7th day, a pair of hikers, Chelsea and Chad Moore, spotted her wrecked vehicle while exploring the beach.
At that point, we just kind of panicked with adrenaline, like, oh my God, you were in that car we just saw and you're alive and you must need help. And at that point, we didn't realize how many days ago it had been.
And she didn't know how many days it was either.
Yeah, but she was standing and talking and we were like, okay, you have water. I like running. So Chad stayed with her while I ran the long way, had to go through some water to get up to the camp post where we called 911. And then as soon as they put together the pieces that this is the poster from the missing girl that the camp post had, and I saw the date on it, I was like, how long has she been down there? Oh my God. So give me food, and I'm running back down there.
They called for help, and rescue teams quickly arrived, airlifting Angela to safety. Number 1. Aaron Ralston. In April 2003, Aaron Ralston, an experienced outdoorsman and mechanical engineer, embarked on a solo hiking trip in Utah's Blue John Canyon without informing anyone of his plans. While maneuvering through a narrow passage, a loose 350-kilogram boulder shifted and trapped his right arm against the canyon wall. Trapped for over 5 days with minimal food and water, Ralston struggled against dehydration and exhaustion, attempting repeatedly to free himself, but to no avail. During his confinement, he carved his name and expected date of death into the rock and recorded farewell messages for his family.
My name's Aaron Ralston. My parents are Donna and Larry Ralston of Englewood, Colorado. Whoever finds this, please make an attempt to get it to them. Be sure of it. I would appreciate it.
On the 6th day, facing the life-threatening decay of his arm, Ralston made a desperate and audacious decision. He used a small, dull multi-tool knife to amputate his trapped arm. The process took over an hour, involving the breaking of bones and cutting through tissue, tendons, and nerves. Once freed, Ralston descended a cliff and hiked approximately 6 miles until he encountered a family who assisted him and called for emergency services. A rescue helicopter arrived 4 hours after his escape. Ralston's harrowing experience was captured in his memoir, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, which became the basis for the film 127 Hours in 2010, directed by Danny Boyle and starring James Franco.